As a social enterprise, ADBT currently is involved in supermarkets, roadhouses. We've got the Daintree Discovery Centre, which is a investment property on the east coast. We own the Doomadgee Roadhouse, which caters for a community of 1,500 people in groceries, fuel. We own, in partnership with a community organisation, the Normanton Traders, which is the largest supermarket in Normanton. We own the Burketown Pub. Have also funded approximately 15 private businesses with Indigenous people from the Gulf, and they cover a range of things from earth moving through to local contractors on the council, local contractors that work in the pastoral industry, etc. The benefits to government, if they gave us a online casino, would certainly be that we're not so reliant on their funds, so we wouldn't be applying for their funds, we wouldn't be asking for their funds, and that could cover everything from housing across through to education scholarships, to getting our kids away, to running health programs and health initiatives in our communities that again would be a lesser of a burden on government. Obviously there would be a taxable revenue stream that would be there that is not there now for government, and I believe it's around the $500 million mark per year, so it's very significant. And if we look at some of the experiences that the American Indians have done in their country, where they've assisted schools, the police, fireys, a whole range of those essential services that we look to the government to provide, perhaps we could certainly assist in those areas as well. If we got an online casino licence rather than the corporates, the profits derived from an online casino would go directly back to our communities, to our people, to our region. Whereas corporates, they're there for the profit. That's their whole aim, and it's their sole aim, is to generate as much profits as possible. And that then goes into shareholders, whether they're in Australia, whether they're off our shores, whatever. If we had the online casino licence, those funds would directly go back to Indigenous people in Australia. When we first thought about this, what obviously attracted us is what the American Indians and the North American Indians in particular are doing with casinos over in their country, and how it's given them a leg up from an unlevel playing field into economic development. And we believe the benefits that could derive from such an income stream would be of immense value to my people. Such a stream doesn't come along too often. We know that the Australian government doesn't do it now, or don't allow it now. We believe that's very short-sighted thinking. The tax revenue alone for the government should certainly make it very, very attractive to them. We wanted to partner with an organisation that had similar goals and aims, objectives that we did. The RSLs have been operating for a long time in Australia. They are authentically Australian, and we wanted to work with a genuine white mainstream organisation, and the RSL fits that. It ticks all the boxes. The fact that, as I said, our goals are similar, our objectives are very similar, and in my mind it's reconciliation in its purest form. Black and white people working together. Now, why can't we as Australians, with the resources that we've got at ADBT, partnering with the RSL, looking at what's already happening in the world, it's a no-brainer to me. It's definitely a no-brainer. There are technology now around geofencing. There are systems that other countries have set up to license it, to make it safe. When you mention gambling, a lot of people run for the hills. The fact is, gambling's here now. We've got to deal with it. So let's deal with it in a way that people are protected, that there is a genuine revenue stream that gets injected back into the people, and that government gets benefit out of it. Because at the moment, no one's getting any benefit, government or people or this country.
Well, look, the benefits we see from an online casino licence in this country, from our conglomerate, it's a group of the ADBT and 6 RSLs, the Return Services League. They're all charities for returned soldiers, etc. They do a lot of community and charity work. Australia, our approach to the government's been simple. Even though they've outlawed online casinos and stuff in the country, the Asian companies, people are still accessing it. There's something like 2 to 3 billion leaving this country every year through online casinos. And we're saying to the government, that's absolutely stupid. You have no regulation or control. Give us an online casino, because unlike all those private companies overseas, these 6 charities are going to pump, they legally have to pump all the money back into the communities and into social outcomes and benefits. And federal government will get all those taxes that they're currently missing out on, that are just slipping through the net through illegal online gambling that's going to Asia. Having an online casino license is obviously, it's extremely lucrative and it will be large profits. And none of that's important to us. That's a tool that will allow us to escape the fifth world conditions we're in. This is a first world country, they say, but when you travel to the great north of Australia, it's fifth world conditions. One, we lift our people's health standard, we can educate our people better, we can provide real infrastructure, real jobs, and we can sustain our proper traditional lifestyle. We don't have to turn into whitefellas or become whitefellas. People can still be Aboriginal. We'll sustain our culture, our customs and our lifestyle and walk in both worlds. We're at the moment, while they're funding and controlling everything, they're trying to force us to be assimilated. This will allow us not only to not be assimilated, to be highly educated in their system and world, but to fully maintain our ancient customs, which are the oldest on the planet. And that's why we need economic development. It's not just for the business side of it, it's for sustaining culture, custom, and challenging and liberating from a system that's constantly trying to oppress and wipe out our culture. Profits from an online casino, just like any other business ADBT is involved in, would be used to go back into the community to develop the different layers of economic development that need to be developed. Not just communally large-owned businesses by the tribes, but you must establish family-sized businesses too, and individual businesses, so that that's the 3 tiers of economic development, and so that we're conversant and strong in all 3 levels. The way we were identifying the profits leaving this country through illegal online casino gambling going to Asia is through statistics and government polls too, and our own private top-notch consultants. We had review all this stuff. They've been able to track all that stuff electronically, and they know the figures, roughly around $3 billion a year, and they're not getting $1 in tax. Therefore, it's all escaping this country, so they're not benefiting. No one in this country is benefiting. And more importantly, it's going to private people. We're telling the government you'll be able to regulate, control it, and it's only the one license. There's a pilot test project with us, and look at the 6 groups, the RSLs from all around Queensland, Return Service League, and ADBT, all charities, all have to return their profits back into good social outcomes. So the government benefits, the people of Australia benefit, we benefit, and we get rid of the shonky blokes from overseas who are just robbing the country and got not paying taxes, no form of regulation. All of our money goes into dealing with bad social problems, alleviating people, pulling them out of fifth world conditions. RSL does great work, Return Services League right across the country, let alone in Queensland. And so the government's missing out, and the country are, because we could build better roads, better health systems. The government could, with their part of that $3 billion that's leaving the country that they're not getting any form of control over. But we just see it as one, to clog a gap. Secondly, a great economic opportunity, not for the money or the wealth, but for how the wealth will be able to help our people in the communities get off welfare, get off control, and go and buy other businesses around the country that are really strategic. And always it's going to be good, because it's not about profit for us. It's about people, 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 and then profits. You've got to make a profit, but only so we can serve the people, people, people. I think the RSLs are important as a partner. One, they're charities, but they put a lot of good money in the communities, and with lots of wars and things on at the moment, governments aren't looking after soldiers. They're coming home, they've got PTSD, they have one of the highest suicide rates other than us Aboriginal people in this country, and other than the RSL supporting them, there's not much support. So we all empathise, particularly because of the suicide rates. We've got it and the soldiers have it. We see a lot of great work can come out of this. That's why we partnered up with them, and it's a good strategic move, because not only are they legitimate charities, but everyone loves soldiers who defend the country, etc. So I think no one's going to knock it, and it's a great charity because they do real stuff. They're well known in Australian society. They work with legacy, the children of dead soldiers, etc. They work with soldiers who have PTSD. They work on suicide stuff, on a whole range of issues, and far more than the federal government does, who take our taxes. So we think for those reasons there's a great partnership.
Why has Greenbank RSL and other RSLs and ADBT become involved in this process? Well, the simple fact is that over the last 10 years, competition has grown, the cost of operating businesses has grown, and the ability for us to flow those additional funds back into community welfare and support and education has diminished. A number of years ago, we looked at various options to diversify our bricks and mortar business, and one of the things that did show up very, very strongly was the online gaming. The operation of the tribal casinos in the United States is a very good example of how social enterprise and how a community-based organisation and structure does work. Particularly the Indian tribal casinos in California, they still do pay taxation to the Californian government, but importantly they cover the other social enterprise and infrastructure components of schools, hospitals, ambulance, fire brigade, police, and that's very, very important and creates a very, very strong community engagement. Granting licences to charitables and not-for-profits would mean that the money goes back into the community where it's deserved. With online gaming or casino gaming currently bricks and mortar premises, the large corporates, bookmakers and the like, it is purely about shareholders and profiteering. So granting the licence exclusively to the charitables and not-for-profits is important for the social fabric and making sure that the social enterprises do become self-sufficient, non-reliant on government, and also that we do promote the importance of those social enterprises in terms of education, welfare and community support in general. What we refer to as online gambling is the online casino style table games. What is currently illegal in Australia is that type of product. So online blackjack, roulette, baccarat, sickbo, etc. Gambling environments already exist in Australia and overseas. So the important part to note is that we are not creating a new gaming environment. We are regulating and licensing our current environment that exists. Taxable revenue for the Australian government is lost through online gaming, as currently online gaming is illegal in Australia, which basically means that anybody facilitating or using an online casino from Australia is using an offshore illegal casino. The number of illegal online casinos approaching Australia or targeting Australia grows and varies from time to time. The federal government has cut access or shut down a number of those over the years. However, at constant record, around about 2,000 illegal offshore casinos do target Australia on a day-by-day basis. Illegal online casino gambling is touted to be around $5 billion per annum, and that comes from UK sources, Regulus partners. Of that $5 billion turnover, it's estimated that the net revenue from those operations is close to $2 billion per annum, which is untaxed and unregulated. The $2 billion that does leave Australia in the revenue is a leakage for the Australian government in terms of taxation, but it's also the unregulated environment around agent ID verification and other player protection mechanisms. Australia does not have any geofencing technology implemented at this stage, hence the number of online casinos that do target Australia. Other jurisdictions in the world have geofencing technology, and that is within the United States in terms of some of the states over others, as well as in the UK and other areas around the world. The ability for Australia to geofence can be done holistically, or it can be done state by state, so the technology does exist. Managing players online is done very well in some countries and poorly in other countries. The countries that do have regulated online casinos do have better systems in place. Notably the United States and the UK, through their systems, do protect players that cannot access those systems from outside of certain jurisdictions, but they also do it in a taxable and a protected environment. The Italian government chose a number of years ago to use a back-end system out of GAN, which is Game Account Network from the United Kingdom. Those protection mechanisms are built into that platform, which means that the players through the UK and the Italian lotteries need to register with a social security number to access their products, which A, guarantees the taxation is paid, that they identify who the players are, and at-risk and vulnerable groups do not access those platforms. We operate through club8casino.com, a simulated gaming site, which has poker machines, table games, but it is all for virtual credits. There is no monetary return from those games. What we are seeking approval from the federal government for is for them to regulate and approve the full suite of online casino games, so that A, the government does receive the taxable benefit from that, and B, and most importantly, that the consumer is protected against agent ID, identity theft, and other forms of problem gambling.
My name is Dermot Smurfit. I'm the CEO of GAN PLC, a publicly traded internet gambling technology solution provider, principally to major US casino operators in the United States. Our company designs and builds complex enterprise software solutions, which we install in various different countries around the world. We're a highly regulated entity. We're a company that believes that regulated internet gambling is a trend that will continue. In Australia, for the last 25 years, ever since the internet was developed, Australians have been losing money playing pokies and table games online to companies that are established typically in jurisdictions around the edges of Australia. All of these internet websites are located outside the reach of the Australian government. And Australians, even today, are continuing to play on these illegal, unlicensed internet gaming websites. Australia is a multi-billion-dollar market for internet gaming. That's a fact. It is. It still continues to be so. That activity should be regulated. It should be contained and properly conducted by responsible retail gaming operators in various different states of Australia. These are extremely valuable potential tax revenues that are currently benefiting the shareholders of overseas companies who should not be conducting business with Australians. Let me explain a little bit about what geofencing does. If you're somebody who downloads an app onto your phone, or if you're somebody who visits a website, the moment you visit the website, or indeed log into the website, you're disclosing a lot of information about where you are physically located. You're giving up your IP address, which is like your zip code or postcode on the internet. You're also, if you're using your cell phone, you're potentially giving data which allows you to be located through referencing the cell phone tower networks or the mobile phone tower networks that exist all around you, communicating between the internet and the mobile phone held in your hand. Those are just two examples of multiple different items of data that are used in geofencing. And geofencing is literally the procedure or process by which you put digital fences around certain countries, or within those countries, certain states. So for example, if Queensland decided to regulate internet gaming, they could put geofencing reliant on software solutions delivered by GAN or others, and ensure that Queensland residents are not allowed to gamble on a mobile phone or on a website the moment they step across the border into the neighboring states. Geofencing is real, it's bulletproof, it's been proven in the United States since internet gaming launched in November 2013, and it's something which is incredibly successful at ensuring the residents of those individual states are properly protected from the predatory business practices of illegal gambling websites which exist and proliferate and are available to Australians in large numbers even today. The software system that GAN has in mind, which would be fit for purpose to deliver to the Australian government entities, including the Australian Taxation Office, is something that is purpose-built to ensure if an Australian is behind on his taxes or hasn't paid the appropriate taxes at the right time, then the business rules implemented by the Australian government agencies can prevent that individual Australian from gambling away his money in an online regulated website. So the software system or central monitoring system is alive to the identity of everybody who tries to gamble online and has to seek permission from the Australian government or the individual state government in order to proceed to wager monies they've deposited in their online gambling account. So the GAN system, as as envisaged, would give the ability to the Australian Taxation Office to say, heck no, if you haven't paid your taxes, you aren't going to be allowed to gamble online on these legal regulated websites that we're going to permit our social clubs and retail casino operators to launch in this new environment of regulated internet gaming. So it's a very important tool for ensuring that tax delinquents are not permitted to gamble their money online at a time where they haven't even had enough funds or taken appropriate action to pay their due taxes. Having a central system ensures that the Australian government can collect the exact right amount of tax instantly from casino operators that are permitted to move online. So tax collection in the country of Italy is very specifically set up in exactly this manner. The Italian operators who are given the permission to launch an internet gambling website are disclosing information in real time to the government, which is collected by a central monitoring system of exactly the kind that GAN has envisaged to deliver in Australia, which discloses exactly the amount of money that the internet casino operators have made in a single day, a single week, or a single month, and ensures that if the company that is licensed to provide internet gambling doesn't pay the tax at exactly the right point in time, then the central system controlled by the government can shut down that website and can prevent that casino operator, online casino operator, from continuing to operate their online business. So ensuring that the individual Australian resident has paid their federal and state taxes, and ensuring that the people who are given the right to launch an internet gambling website, the companies that are licensed, this central system would give the Australian government and the Australian Taxation Office absolute visibility on exactly how much money is being made on any single given hour or day, and also ensure that if the company is tax delinquent and doesn't pay the gambling taxes at the right amount, at the right tax take rate, then they can shut them down as the ultimate sanction. That's something which is technically in existence today in Italy, a country where GAN is a major provider of technology solutions. Let me tell you about KYC. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. In the United States, the GAN technology solution delivered to power internet gaming in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Indiana. Those three states where we've deployed our technology system have very, very rigorous, strong authentication processes to ensure that if somebody inputs their information into a website or a mobile app, you can validate and verify that that individual is A, a real person, and B, the person who they say they are. And in particular, in America, the social security number is heavily relied upon in order to validate and verify the identity of that individual. So we would strongly recommend that the Australian tax file number be built into any specific regime or set of regulations for the setup and conduct of regulated internet gaming in Australia. Today, club8casino.com.au is a free play website designed to serve enthusiasts and build a database which may be relied upon by the various different Australian retail gaming organizations who've invested in it over the last 3.5 years. Transitioning Club 8 Casino to a real money internet gaming website for GAN would take simply a matter of weeks, not months. I would estimate 5 to 7 weeks of technical development time required in order to relaunch that exact same website with the ability to take deposits from end user residents in Australia, do so in a way that is highly compliant with heavy, strict know your customer regulations, and ensure that we implement geofences and geolocation technology, which we've deployed in the United States, in order to ensure that every individual is legitimate, is a real person, is of the appropriate age, and is completely disclosed to the relevant Australian tax authorities when it comes to whether or not they have paid their appropriate state and federal taxes on time. Transitioning Club 8 Casino is a very straightforward technical exercise for GAN in the event the group of individual social clubs wish to move forwards with consent of the relevant Australian regulatory agency.